ground who are fighting Islamophobia every single day.
The honourable member for Simcoe North.
Mr. Speaker, what do the Federal Reserve, President Biden, Treasury Secretary Yellen, and the Bank of Canada all have in common? They've all taken responsibility for underestimating inflation. Secretary Yellen said she was wrong about inflation, and President Biden released a plan to fight inflation just last week. So, Mr. Speaker, to the Minister of Finance, where's this government's plan to provide immediate relief to Canadians and combat inflation?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, do you know what all of those countries have in common? In all of those countries, the rate of inflation is higher than it is in Canada. In Canada, the latest inflation number was 6.8%. In the U.S., 8.3%. In the U.K., 9%. In Germany, 8.7%. The OECD average is 8.8%, Mr. Speaker. That's what they have in common, and that's how they're different from us.
The honourable member for Simcoe North.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. All those countries measure inflation differently, and perhaps it would hurt this government to admit just a little bit of humility instead of being blinded by ideology and recognize that the facts on the ground have changed, and it needs to change course to provide immediate relief to Canadians. We've heard time and time again that this government is providing zero relief and actually defending high gas prices. Despite a windfall of revenues, this government refuses to take immediate action. Why?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, you know who should have a little bit of humility when talking about central banks? A member of a party where a candidate for the highest office has impugned the independence of the central bank, which is one of the key institutions in Canada, and Canada's strong institutional...
I'm going to have to interrupt the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. I'm having a hard time hearing today. Maybe it's my age, but I think it's more the voice in this place that is really getting echoey and quite loud, and it's almost like a murmur that kind of has a crescendo to it. And I'm not trying to direct an orchestra here. Please keep it down. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, please proceed.
Yeah, so we were talking about humility, and I was pointing out that members of a party in which a leading voice is impugning the independence of the Bank of Canada, precisely at the moment when our economy needs a strong, independent and well-respected central bank, that is a person who should demonstrate some humility.
The Honourable Member for South Surrey, White Rock.
Mr. Speaker, gas prices in my riding are $2.35 per litre. Drivers and transport of goods and services are all hurting. Huge diesel costs mean that it costs more for stores to get product, and already desperate Canadians pay more and more for groceries and essentials. We are elected to serve, to support Canadians, not make life so impossible that their already fragile mental health may collapse. There are common sense answers that this government ignores. When will this Prime Minister give Canadians a break and get rid of ever-rising carbon taxes?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Certainly the issue of energy security and energy affordability are top of mind for Canadians, but for people in many countries around the world. We are working in partnership with the United States, with Europe, and with others to ensure that we are increasing production to address the supply issue that is confronting the world right now. We are doing so in a manner that will help us to stabilize energy prices for the long term. That is the commitment that we've made to Canadians, and it's a commitment we're going to deliver on.
Member for South Surrey, White Rock.
Mr. Speaker, inflation, stagnation, frustration, these are common everyday kitchen table words now in Canada. Inflation means higher costs of production for all food. For farmers and producers, as their costs go up, they can't continue to absorb these losses. Consumers are stressed. Everyone loses. Food banks are overwhelmed, and 1 out of 5 Canadians report going hungry at night. When is this government going to get serious, help Canadians, and get Canada-created inflation under control?
Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians understand very well that inflation is a global phenomenon driven today very much by Vladimir Putin's illegal war in Ukraine. But our government understands that the cost of living is a challenge for Canadians, and that's why we're taking concrete steps. Let me name a few of them. A $500 payment to those facing housing affordability challenges. Dental care for Canadian families. Doubling support provided through the first-time home buyers tax credit. A multi-generational home renovation